Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Good Shabbos and welcome at the end of a beautiful week. Some of you I saw at the Passover Seder, some of you I haven't seen for a little while, and a couple of you I met for the very first time tonight. So welcome. I think as we all know, the war in Israel and Gaza continues. The hostages are still captive. We don't know what's going on with them. And as we know from the news, anti-Israel sentiment and anti-Semitism seems to be escalating on many college campuses around the country. These are not easy times to be a Jew or to be an Israeli, and so I can't think of too many other ways to celebrate and assert our Jewish identities with pride and with a sense of community than by coming here on a Friday night, supporting your local synagogue, participating in synagogue programs, services, and events, and connecting with the wider Jewish community. So I hope you'll keep doing that. I know we have a bat mitzvah next weekend. I just did the rehearsal for them this week, and the girl, who is very energetic and very passionate, said, talk about that before services start, because I feel very proud about being Jewish, and it's not that easy right now. So I'm really glad you're here for that reason as well. We don't have Gordon tonight, so I'm going to ask you to help me with the songs. I think if you remember last time, a couple months ago, there were a couple songs where I got lost midstream. So I'm going to ask Roberta and Wendy and anyone else to come up at a couple points to help out. But why don't we start with a song that I think a lot of you are familiar with, Hine Ma Tov. Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. One more time. Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Ma Tov U'Manayim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. I'd like to invite Wendy to come to the bima to light our Shabbat candles. Wendy is celebrating a big birthday this month. Which day is it?
It's on Sunday.
On Sunday.
28th.
So
70.
You honor us, and we hope we honor you a little bit by having you light our Shabbat candles on this Shabbat during Passover.
We didn't get a plate here. So. Can you all sing with me? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Good Shabbos.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom. And happy Pesach to everyone. Let's go to page 142 and sing Shalom Aleichem together. Gordon does a few different versions of it. The one I know is the quote-unquote traditional version that I hear in a lot of Orthodox synagogues as well. So I invite you to please join me. Page 142. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedkem L'Shalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 144. For me, at least, chanting is a little bit easier than singing. So we're going to chant the Chatzi Kaddish. And if you know it, I invite you to please join along with me. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah be'alma divrach herotei v'yemlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayedecho Beit Yisrael Bagala, Bagala, Uvizman Kariv, Vimeru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Le'alam U'al Maya, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnasem, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalel, Shmei Kudsha Barichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tush bechata v'nekemata, Damiran be'alma, V'meru, Amen. Our call to worship the Baruch Hu is on page 146. If you are able, please rise. Lai la lai 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 Please remain standing and join me at the top of page 149 as we read together in English. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Page 151. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vayed. Please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha b'veitecha, u'v'lektecha v'aderech, u'shokbecha u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu l'totafot beinenecha, u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'visharecha, leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'tem kedoshim l'Elohechem, ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem l'Elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem. Emet. Page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. We're on page 158, and we're going to sing Micha Mocha. Roberta, would you help me out with this? And Wendy, if you'd like to. What? Yeah, I will. Get closer to the mic. Here, actually, sit here.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha b'dar kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Nora tehilot, osefele, nora tehilot, osefele, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh. Mi chamocha nedar ba'Adonai, mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh.
Would you stay up here to help? I want you to help me with one more. Sure. We're on page 161. It takes a village. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
Thank you. Yes. Toda rabah. Thank you very much. Right. We're going to continue with the Amidah on page 164, which we're going to chant. We'll do the first three blessings together and to continue on our own silently, so please be seated after you finish. So again, if you're able to, please rise. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufiya ki tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El HaGadol, HaGibur v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Mevi Gula v'Mevnehem, V'Na'am Shema v'Ahava, Melech Ozer Mashiach U'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibur le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol atah Rav v'Hoshia, Mechakeh Chaim b'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol b'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim v'Rofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayeh Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Nichomo Kabagurot, Umidonayah, Melech Memid, Umechaneh, Matzniach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayom taku, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, v'kadoshim b'chol yom yaladuka selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please join me in the singing of Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'akol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom. Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. At this point in our service, we pause and think of those in need of healing on this Shabbat Pesach, this Shabbat during the festival of Passover. Healing of body, healing of spirit, and healing of heart. And we ask God to bestow the bracha, the blessing of refuah shlema, full and complete healing on the following men and women from our congregation or those known and loved by our community. Ilana Massey, Kevin Brackett, Michelle Camisia, Jesse Friedman, Jim Mates, Brenda Flood, Sharon Blevis, Kirk Whitlatch, David Rabb, Jensen Beach, Aaron Ledden, Rachel Sadek, Blake Battles, Michaela Cohen, Diane Rado Persile, Rudolfo Gonzalez, Tracy Adams, Joan Wilmert, Kim Stevens, James Lynch, Don Copeland, Dee Copeland, Rachel Hartstein, Sally Gordon, Nancy Pollock, and Donna Batdorf. And if anyone has the name of someone they'd like to add to our list, I invite you to please do so.
Jenny Ryder and Norman Frier.
Sherry Wright and Lynn Pearson.
Rachel Friedman.
David Ross, Joel Webb.
Tom Kearns.
Bruce Nissen.
Sarah Cohen.
We turn to the Misha Barak on page 511. Roberta and Wendy, would you come on up? 511, yeah. I think this is the last one. I'll need your help.
Misheberach Avotenu Mekor Avraham Yimotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu Mekor Avraham Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos again, and special welcome to those of you who are with us for the first time. So we all know this is the Shabbat during Passover, during Pesach, and it is supposed to be one of the most joyous and celebratory times in the Jewish year. It commemorates, as we all know from the Passover Seder, the freedom of the Jewish people from slavery in Egypt. And it is known as Chag HaMatzot, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Anyone who's ever observed a Passover Seder and read from the Haggadah knows about that. There are traditions and rituals like the Seder that are designed to bring together family and community, and Passover, I think, has some of the best in the Jewish tradition to do that. And yet, as I started at the beginning of services, in light of current events, how can we truly celebrate? After October 7th, after the massacre of 1,300 men, women, and children, after all those civilian deaths in Gaza, after the hostages still in captivity, after anti-Semitism across the country, especially on college campuses, how do we celebrate at a time like this as Jews. Now, there is some clue as to how we can possibly do that, because at a key point in the Passover Seder, and some of you may remember this, we lift up a piece of matzah. I did this right here on Tuesday night from the table, and we say, the leader of the Seder says, halachma anya, behold, this is the bread of affliction. It's Aramaic, halachma anya. Ha is this or behold, lachma is lechem, bread, and anya is affliction or humility. This is our humble, this is our modest, this is our afflicted bread. Now, why do we do that at such a key point in the Passover Seder? I think it is to convey the paradoxical idea that we can rejoice and celebrate even when the world is still precarious and fragile. And this is not the first time that the people of the world, and certainly not Jews, have ever encountered challenges and trials in our lives. But halachma anya, the bread of affliction, teaches us that our work is never done, that there is still hunger, poverty, alienation, and suffering. Every year, every time we read from the Passover Haggadah and lift the bread of affliction. So the question I want us to wrestle with a little bit tonight, and I'm going to open up the floor as I used to do. I haven't done it a lot since COVID, but I want to start bringing them back, bringing this tradition back. Is how do you cope with this apparent paradox? How do we celebrate Jewish life and identity in the face of so much trouble, fear, and distress? I know how I try to do it, but can you hear me with this? But I'd like to get your thoughts. How do we celebrate Jewish life? How do we assert Jewish life? How do we remain proud of our heritage in light of all of this anti-Semitism, all of this anti-Israel sentiment, all of the fear and distress that surrounds us? How can we still celebrate? How do we do it? Well, hold on. Just raise your hand so I can...
Well, I think we celebrate it because we need that to give us strength against all the stuff that's working against us. Both having that sense of identity and feeling part of that community strengthens us. It's like we're in a fort. We're better able to fight against it. If we're individuals against that, then it's worse. It's more difficult to fight in combat, and we can get swallowed up by it.
Thank you. I think that's right. You know, I had a professor once talk about the rituals of Judaism, the traditions of Judaism, as a suit of armor. You know, when you participate, whether at home or at the synagogue, and you do whatever you do, light candles, say a blessing before you eat, go to services, keep kosher, you know, pray at home, whatever it is, it's putting on a suit of armor that will help protect you, because Jews have been putting on that same suit of armor for many millennia. And I think it becomes particularly supportive when we do it in community with one another, rather than doing it by ourselves alone. And I know for me, Tuesday night, having this sanctuary filled with men, women, and children was a beautiful thing. And even though I'm well aware that a lot of people here have doubts or had doubts about God and are not particularly religious, there was something about being together and participating in these traditions and with community that I think was very helpful, particularly during a tough time. I think someone over here said we don't celebrate. Who was that? Go ahead. So Dina, what do we do or what do we not do at a time like this?
We don't sleep, and you know, we read all the Israeli newspaper. We talk to family and friends. My 26-year-old nephew has already served 4.5 months. He went home for 2 weeks, and he had to go back today. So I can't celebrate.
I think for some people celebrating is hard. I mean, I would challenge that a little bit in that there is a custom in Judaism that even if you're sitting Shiva after the death of a loved one and a wedding comes up, a simcha, a celebratory event, you're supposed to stop the Shiva process and celebrate. But I know that's not easy for people. I know it's very hard. I've grieved myself, and trying to celebrate when you're grieving or afraid for, you said your nephew, who's in the IDF, it's tough. Yes.
Being a Persian Jew, what can I say? It's very difficult. I still have a lot of relatives in Iran, and I have my cousins and family members, but they are brave. They don't sit still. They go to the synagogues, they do their celebrations, and so far things have been pretty calm. But I don't know, it's very difficult to be very brave, and yet it's a big risk. You gotta continue life.
And I think that, thanks Farah, I think that idea of continuing life, of resilience, is at the core of Judaism. If nothing else, we're a resilient people. We've been around 6,000 years, and many of our traditions have been around almost that long, not quite. But we're an ever-resilient people, and I've quoted before, and we had our rabbinic intern teach a session on the former chief rabbi of the UK, Jonathan Sachs, and he says in my opinion, very appropriately, that Jews should not be optimistic. We're not an optimistic people. Our history and the tragedies and disasters that have befallen us over the centuries, would indicate we'd be foolish to be optimistic. But we should still be hopeful. There's a difference between being optimistic, which might be naive as a Jew, and being hopeful, which is a mandate as a Jew. We are commanded to be hopeful. We are commanded to work to make our community stronger and to practice tikkun olam, to fix this very broken world and bring about the messianic times. So I think optimism, especially right now, probably comes in short supply for a lot of people, particularly Jews, but I think we can still be hopeful. Carla.
Yeah, I find it hard to be, I don't find it hard to be joyful in community, or like when I teach religious school, and I have to say, Mark helps to have Mark here, and it kind of breaks my heart that's the case. But like when we have book club, Mark isn't here. And I'm vigilant about making sure that the door isn't propped open. And it just makes it hard to celebrate being together when you have to think like that.
You're right. I have Torah study tomorrow morning at 10:30. When we do Torah study, we're just here by ourselves, and you have to be vigilant. And I think since the massacre at the temple in Pittsburgh, was that 5 years ago, 4 years ago? What's that? 2019, so 5 years ago. Ever since that massacre in Pittsburgh, the Jewish community has redoubled its efforts to be vigilant. And every synagogue across North America that I'm aware of that can afford it has armed security now. And there are lots of different initiatives through Jewish Federation and other Jewish organizations to help us with trainings to try as best we can to be as safe and secure as we can. But again, you're right, Carla, when we have to be that vigilant, and when something like the Pittsburgh massacre happened, how do you celebrate in the face of that? How do you celebrate in the face of the fact that there are over 130 Israeli hostages in Gaza, and we don't know whether they're alive or not? How do you celebrate in light of that? And yet, at tables around the world and in synagogues around the world, we just did celebrate Passover, and we need to be resilient, and we need to, we need to be proud of our identity, even in the face of all of this. I think, yeah, Catherine. We'll take one or two more.
This is a very confusing time, and I can become consumed with the macro perspective of what's going on that I have no control over. But what I do is focus on the micro, what I can do within my life and how I live my life and how I treat others and how I show up. And those are little blessings that I can give into the world. I have no control over the larger aspects of the world. I'm not going to go on a college campus at this point in my life and pitch a tent. I don't think that. I think there are others that have been given that mission, but there's significance in the purpose that I've been given by God to be here, and that's what I can fulfill. It gives me a sense of control. It makes me feel not quite so abandoned by the evil around us, because if I can bring some good into the world through my actions, that gives me a sense of peace. And being Jewish within that context of my living my values and my Jewish values, it gives me a sense of control and being centered.
Any final comments? Wendy, we'll give you the last word. Well, it is your birthday on Sunday.
So the first thing that came to mind was teaching Hebrew school and looking into the eyes of my beautiful 7 students and doing that good deed. And so doing good deeds, we learn, kind of helps to relieve the worry and the pain. Helping my handicapped boyfriend do little things, it kind of keeps my mind off, because there's tremendous fear inside of me. This is not the first time. Even going back to when I lived in Israel, I remember the fear. Never goes away. And so when things like this happen, it's rumbling inside. But if I can just continue to do good things, that helps to ease the worry.
I think we can only do what we can do. And to your point, there's a teaching in Pirkei Avot, in the sayings of our ancestors, which is a book almost 1,800 years old, that says it is not up to us to complete the task, but neither are we free to desist from it. So it's incumbent on all of us to do what we can, in the ways that we're able to on the micro level, maybe not the macro level, right? Think globally, act locally, just do what we can do. We're only human beings. But as overwhelming as the world is, particularly with all of the darkness and evil that seems to be around us right now, we shouldn't let it paralyze us. Because if it paralyzes us, then we're lost. Then there's no hope. And as I said earlier, Judaism is ultimately a religion of hope and of promise, even though the work never ends. And that's why we say at the end of the Seder, B'Shana Haba'ah B'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. We're always aspiring for next year. We're always working toward that messianic time that as human beings we never seem to be able to reach, but that we are obligated to fight for and to work toward. So I'm going to try to do that. I'm confused and conflicted right now. This is a very difficult time, but as I said earlier, showing up, participating, supporting the Jewish community, I think is a great thing that you can do, and you're all doing it tonight. So I thank you as your rabbi, and I wish you Shabbat Shalom again. We are going to continue with the Aleinu on page 586. So if you're able, please rise. Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגוי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו Please be seated. As we near the end of our service, it is my honor to invite up board member and treasurer Fred Goldman to read the announcements tonight.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. There's no religious school this Sunday, April 28th. On Wednesday, May 1st, join us at 6 p.m. for Repair, Refuah, and Tikkun Olam, lessons for healing from the world of art conservation, when author Rosa Lowinger talks about her book Dwell Time, available for purchase the night of the event or from Napa Bookmine. Save the date. Well, this is overridden. Roberta sent a notice out about the adjustment to comedy night that's happening, but the date is still May 18th, and a good time will be had by all, and there will be an amazing auction of wonderful things that you will all like to bid on. So please, we're looking forward to seeing you May 18th. June 15th, we will have another concert to benefit CBS at the Blue Note with the Fleetwood Mac tribute band, Fleetwood Macrame. Be sure to purchase raffle tickets on the synagogue website. Now, the raffle, there will be 200 tickets sold, and only 200. They're $100 each, but the one winner, the sole winner, will get discounts or free meals at a bunch of restaurants throughout, gift certificates for a bunch of restaurants throughout Napa, and it's well worth it. It's a big value. Your odds are very good, 1 out of 200, to win a very nice prize. So find your local board member who's got some tickets and be sure to buy them before they're all gone. We'd like to give warm wishes to this week's birthdays and anniversaries. Happy birthday to Aviv Abramovich, Audrey Moriski, Naama Abramovich, Guy Sandler, Leona Meckel, Susan Wolf, Tucker Caitlin, Heidi Soldinger, Wendy Cochran, again, happy birthday, Wendy, Leona Rice, Louise Shine, Barbara Balick, Josephine Soldinger, and Theodora Soldinger. The whole Soldinger family's got birthdays this week.
They're twins.
And happy anniversary to Henrietta and Lee Trucker. Their 40th. That's nice. Again, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Wendy, did you want to add something quickly? And while Wendy's coming up, just a quick plug because it wasn't in here. I am doing Torah study tomorrow at 10:30. We'll be reading from the book from Song of Songs, which is one of the 5 scrolls that is associated with the Passover period.
So we had a wonderful Seder, and we have tons of leftover food here that needs to go home tonight with you guys, so please see me in the kitchen before you leave. And when the last time I put out a plea for some Tupperware, if you have some lying around the house that you're not using, just bring it and drop it off in the kitchen. Anything goes, we use it all, we were so happy, but again, it got used when people took stuff home again. So we're just cycling it through, and we thank you for your generosity. That's it.
Thank you. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We remember those who've died during the past 12 months. Barbara Cosson, Minnie Shostak, Kevin McCarville, Etta Kessler, Faye Goldstein-Glick, Diana Coyne, Peggy Dooley, Eddie Feld, Frankie Block, Joyce Bisberg, Jake Goldstein, David Mendelson, Nancy Jeanette, Alexander Buddy Cohen, Berna Joseph Sherman, Rabbi Lori Phillips, Pearl Shine, Jerry Mautner, Lauren Bisberg, Terry Swartz, Chava Pearl Bad Herschel Varose Gittel, Larry Metrick, Victor Lynn, and Morris Feynman. We also remember and honor the Yartsites, the anniversaries of the deaths of Gertrude S. Kopp, Herman Katz, Oscar Tannen, Helen Sherman, Annette Friedman, Edward Weinberg, Harry Lieberstein, William Schwartz, Morris Levy, Alan Fingerman, George E. Cantor, and Hazan Yehuda Keller. And if anyone would like to add a name to our list, I invite you to please do so. The mourner's Kaddish is on page 598. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei rabbah be'alma divrach chirtei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayachon v'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael b'agalah v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'alam u'ameil maya Yitbarach v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalel v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran ba'alma v'imru amen Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen Oseh shalom b'imromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael Vimru, amen. May the source of peace grant peace to all those in mourning and comfort to all those who are bereaved. And let us all say, amen. Please be seated. So because Gordon's not here, I want to give you the opportunity to, make a request. But there are only 2 songs you can request because I don't know any other ones. So why don't we end with either Adon Olam or Ein Kelohenu? Ein Kelohenu? Let's end with Ein Kelohenu. It's on page 626. It's a song that a lot of people know, and I may not sing it well, but I at least know the words. Ein Kelohenu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkenu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi kemalkenu, mi kadonenu, mi kemalkenu, mi kemoshienu. No de l'Eloheinu, no de l'Adonenu, no de l'Malkenu, no de l'Moshienu. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkenu, Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Okay, let's rise for the Kiddush Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim. L'chaim tovim u'l'shulam. And because it's Passover, we're not doing challah, we're doing matzah. So I have a couple slices here, and we have much more waiting for us in the social hall. So please join me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'tei avon. Shabbat shalom, everyone.